So as you can see, this car's going to need a lot of work, a lot of going over. It's obviously been sitting for so long, you can see that the discs have literally corroded. You know, there's no way that you can use them discs anymore. See how bad they are, they don't even exist. So this is what happens when you obviously don't maintain the car. You can see how long it's been sitting here. So the front discs are exactly the same. So we're going to go front and back discs all round, check the wheel bearings. I've got loads of new stuff to go over with, put some new pads in there as well. Check the tyres as well for cracking. You can see they've started to crack, so I've got some new tyres that we can put on it. Refurbish these wheels, probably put some new wheels on while they're getting refurbished. Backs are probably the same. You can see the springs have dropped on the back because there's a lot of weight in the back at the minute. You see that spare engine in there. But we've got some nice spec on the car. I'll show you the engine bay in a minute. You see there's a brand new white line anti-roll bar in there. That's never even been used. I know that for a fact. It's got a Miltech full system in here. Got grass growing in there as well. So this car's going to be a nice little project to get back on the road. Nice low mileage car, really straight car. The bodywork needs a proper tidy up. Look at the state of this. So proper detailing session is going to be getting done with this. Jet wash it off, snow foam, all the usual stuff. Get underneath. Check, it should be rust free underneath, and that's a right clean car. So you can see here the car's got shark eyes on it as well from the factory, which it's got HID headlights on there. That's a good factory option. We've got an Ermisher grille on there. Got some bonnet raisers on there which I'll be removing. So you can see about 4 years ago I've done a little bit of work on this car. I stuck a sticker on the back of it. That's how I know this car, that's how I got offered it. You can see in the back we've got a full LEH engine in parts, loads and loads of spare parts, which is obviously good. So obviously I keep all the sort of spare parts. Got some GSI arch spats as well on there. These are GM ones as well. You see they've been cut off of GSI. So you've got cams, hoses, all sorts of stuff to literally rebuild another engine. We've got GSI interior in here, which I'll show you as well. But that's why the back of this car sagged down a lot, because it's got so much weight in the back of it at the minute. The springs just couldn't handle it being sitting here for so long. So you can see here the driver's side has been de-locked, which makes it a little bit more awkward when you're trying to get in the car. So I had to get in through the boot, and I've undone it from that way. You can see it's got brand new steering lock on it. GSI interior, really clean condition as well. GSI interior, all the GSI options that you normally get with these cars, everything's been changed over. So it's a nice clean car. Sound system, boost gauges, and I'm going to stick a battery on it now, show the engine bay. I've got loads and loads of spares to go onto this. Right, so just open this bonnet and you can clearly see now this car has not been driven in a long time. See the cobwebs everywhere. Now it's going to need a proper going over. So obviously this engine's going to come out. The whole engine bay is going to be overhauled, cleaned up, made looking mint. I don't know where the water's gone. Hopefully it's not no cracks or anything. Maybe a hose has popped off or whatever. But you can see the spec. We've got EDS inlet manifold on here. It's actually a genuine one. Courtney top hats, breather systems that I've fitted on there in the past. We actually got an AirTech intercooler on there, and this was the first ever car. You might see on it, it's actually on the AirTech website. If you go on there, this is the first car to have this AirTech intercooler. It was the one that it was mocked up on. So if you've got one on your car, it's actually mocked off this car, and you'll see a picture of that. We've got twin spiral fans on there as well. So the spec of this engine is actually quite high. It's a fully forged engine, forged pistons, steel rods. You can see it's got cams in there. We've got twin vernier pulleys, R&D ones. They're literally brand new. We've got a KO6 turbo on there with a turbo smart blow-off valve and a Courtney actuator. Brand new GM manifold. We've got a full Miltech exhaust system. So obviously you can see we ain't got no battery on the car, so I'm just going to chuck a battery on this. Allow me to open and lock all the doors, be able to light up the dash. Make sure the clock's working, everything's working properly inside the car. So you can see here this car's going to take a proper clean up. It's amazing what happens when you leave a car for so long, literally unwashed. It literally gets taken over by nature. You can see the state of it. So I'm going to get all this cleaned up. It's actually going to be quite enjoyable. Might go OEM spec with this one, completely OEM, just take all the performance parts off it, have a little bit of fun with it first, and then we'll turn it back OEM, and I'll be getting rid of it on the channel. So, you know, if you're interested in it, get in earlier and get over onto my Instagram, give me a message. So the Barnfinder Astra Turbo is back home, and what an absolute state it is at the minute. So as I showed you, look it up close, needs a proper scrub up now. So I think that's what we're going to get on first. Going to get up on axle stands, jack it up, get the wheels off and give it a proper scrub. Nothing like proper detailed straight away. I just want to get it cleaner than it is. You can see how dirty it is. I mean, the grill's growing in plants or whatever. You could literally pot a plant in there. So before I even work on this car, I want to start giving it a wash. You can see the state of it. All the grime and that we're going to get off. It's going to be quite satisfying to get this lot off. So I think the plan with this car at the minute is to just take it back to an OEM spec car. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play with it for a little bit at stage 4, just for a little bit of fun, and then we're going to turn it back to an OEM spec. That's what the plan is at the minute. Things might change or whatever, but you've got some good parts on this car. You can see obviously it's had my stick on it at one point, because back when it was getting built it was going to be a project car for someone, and it didn't end up happening. So it was sat on the driveway for a long period of time, and now it is with me, which is what happens to most of these cars. They get offered to me over the years, and I end up buying them just because I can't let them go to waste. Now, as I say, this is a nice low mileage car. It's a clean, straight car. When this is all polished up, cleaned up, it's going to look really good. Right, so as you see under the bonnet, we had that stage 4 KO6 set up under here. Still on 470cc injectors. We've got the EDS manifold, the cams, verniers, Courtney top hat, clutch, etc., helix. You know, everything's been changed. All the silicon hoses have been changed for black silicon hoses. So even though the hoses are still black, they're not OEM ones. You can see they're all silicon. This engine's going to come out very soon because it's got piston slap when it's cold. I'll start it up right now and you'll hear it's a nice quiet engine when it's warm, but from cold it's got piston slap. Now that's just down to a poor built engine. Not a lot of people can build these engines properly these days. The Mantos here come in and they're rattly, noisy. All the engines I ever build are silently quiet because the tolerances are so tight. It might, from cold, if I can start it up from cold in this video, probably tomorrow, you might think it's rattly lifters. A lot of people do think it's that. It's actually not. It's piston slap. These have got brand new inner lifters in this at the minute. Obviously with the cams they got put in, and it's still doing it. So I thought we had an Ali Rad in there with the twin fans, but it's not. It's actually a VXR radiator, which is my pet hate. I really don't like the VXR radiator set up on the Astra Mark IVs. So if you do that, well, don't do it. So you can see we've got the AirTech intercooler in there. The bumper's unfortunately got some holes cut in it, which obviously I can sort, but the number plate will cover that up. So I'm going to put a splitter on this. Going to put the fog lights back in here as well because I want it to look more OEM than it is at the minute. So when it comes to the wheels and the brakes, obviously the brakes are getting sorted. I've got some brand new, well, that I've rebuilt calipers that are going to go on there. Take off them brakes because they're knackered. These wheels are going to be refurbished now. Drop a comment in the comment section. I'm thinking of going silver OEM colour. I don't like grey on these. I just don't like it. I don't think it goes with the car. So I think I'm going to change them. What I'll probably do is put my Team D's on this for now. Just while I change over the colour, give them a quick paint up. You can see they need a refurb. Nasty. You've got some nice tyres on these, like Michelin's and that, but you can see we've got some shocks through there as well. Till I get up in the air and look underneath it, I won't really know what's going on. The back has to be raised up. You can see here it's way too low at the minute, so we're going to raise that up at the back so it's a little bit higher than the front. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dump this engine in there at the minute. So this engine is out of my silver track car and it's built to 500 horsepower spec, you know, forged pistons, steel rods, the whole lot, light and flywheel, cams, verniers, everything basically. So I'm going to dump this one in there. So I know this one's running absolutely perfect and I've just pulled this one out. So this one's going to go in, and then I'm going to take the other engine out and rebuild it. I've got LEH, well this is an LEH block anyway. You can see here with balancer shaft delete and all that lot. It's got a let crank in it as well because it's a little bit stronger. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the engine out of the other car and rebuild that. So firstly I'm going to give this engine a little bit of a clean up because, you know, this engine was just used and abused because that's what it was built for. But at the minute it's got a little bit of an oil leak. This was actually an old oil leak that come from the rocker cover. That's all sealed up now, so I'm just going to clean all that lot up, give it a proper going over, and then we can stick this engine in. It won't take long to do. Get this engine in the car, get it running again, get it looking minty clean, and then you can watch me rebuild another Z20 let engine to like a semi-forged spec probably on that one. I'm probably going to use LEH pistons with that, with the steel rods, balance shaft delete, the whole lot. So I thought I'd quickly dive underneath here, jack it up, have a little look underneath. Now I've had a quick look. Funny thing is about this anti-roll bar, this is a white line anti-roll bar. It's literally brand new. It's never ever done a mile on the road. You can see it started to, like the powder coat's obviously started to disintegrate already and the rust coming through. So the actual body of the car underneath is really good. We've got the usual surface rust on this tank cover, but it looks like it's just powder coat that's come off. So they don't look like there's any holes in there. I might be able to pull that off and give it a quick paint up instead, because normally they actually disintegrate and start falling apart. If that's the case, that'd be handy because they're really hard to get hold of, in fact almost impossible. But it's really weird to see these cars with all the like spare wheel well and heat cover and all that lot, because none of my cars have them. I always take these out. Ugly things and always in the way. Springs are absolutely shot, so I'm going to change them over. In fact, I'm changing over the whole lot. Just going to change over the whole rear beam, you know, get it all fresh under here, get all that surface rust so it's nice and clean for the next owner. Obviously I just want to mint this car up, make it look good. You can see where it's just sat there, it hasn't been driven at all. So as you just see, I've just pulled the wheels off the car, just having a look around the suspension and stuff. Found out that these have got some nice Bilsteins on there as well. I remember these ain't very old either, you can see in good condition. Also got aircon pulley delete, but we've actually got the tensioner in there as well, so that's another nice little surprise. Ain't got no poly wishbones, but I've got some spare ones, so I bang them on. Inner and outer tie rods, I've got some spare ones of them. Metal drop links as well, got them. You can see the oil filter's like just been changed because this engine hasn't done no miles. Got some braided brake lines in there as well for the stock calipers, and as I say, I've got some brand new calipers for these, so I'm removing them nasty pink ones with some fresh ones that I've rebuilt with new pistons. Obviously putting new discs and pads on it as well. As I say, I'm just going to go over it for a freshen up. So now we're going to get to washing this, get rid of all this grime and everything up in the arches, and also while I'm there, going to pull off these shocks and springs and get rid of these because these springs have collapsed. You can see where they've gone rusty and where all that weight was in the boot. So I've got some other springs as well. It's going to raise the ride height on the back, and then on the back as well, we're going to obviously change these discs, change these pads. I've got some fresh calipers to go on there as well. So just letting this snow foam have a little bit of a soak. You can see it's already started to peel off some of the grime and the dirt and everything that's on the discs, and if you're doing the same with the bodywork, just let it work its magic for a little bit, maybe give it another coat in a bit. I've gone all up in the arches and everything as well, because I want to give them a deep scrub, use some Bilberry stuff on that. So you can see around this side it's already almost all come off. I've given it a good 20 minutes or so, just got to get some more up in these arches up here. Obviously missed that little bit up there. So you can see it's all coming out clean already, absolutely what I wanted. So you can see it's got rid of most of that green and grime already that's on the bodywork. You can see it's already started to work its magic on this sort of stuff. So it's literally just going to jet wash off, won't even have to touch that, and it's going to look much better. So you can see that the shocks were pretty clean before they was off the road. It looks like they're fresh, a little bit of surface rust on them. Obviously got some springs on it at the minute, it ain't very low anyway, really wants to go a little bit lower on the front. So let this soak for a little while longer, give it another coat, and then I'll jet wash it off. That's the last coat of snow foam. I've just done a little bit of more of a watery one this time, so it runs off and gets rid of the old snow foam that was sitting on there, because it gets stuck to it a little bit if you do it on too thick. So I've just done a little bit more of a thinner mixture. Gonna let that run off, and then I'm gonna give it a proper jet wash. I like cleaning up cars, as you probably know. I like cars that are really clean. Obviously I've built race cars for so many years, and race cars you can never get as clean. You can never get them, they're almost like a little bit tatty, and it does my head in now. As I'm getting a little bit older, I like to have a more of a clean car. When I was younger, I didn't really care, you know, as fast as I can get it. But yeah, so I'm more into a little bit more of a show car look at the minute, especially as at the minute there's no way you can race anywhere on the roads. Me and my mates, we've all got fast cars and we can't go anywhere, so it's pretty much the only place you can go is Santa Pod tracks and shows. So we're just into that clean car look at the minute. Right, so I've just rinsed off the car. It's still got a lot of grime on it because, you know, it's going to need a proper scrub, but now we've snow foamed it, got rid of a lot of the grime that was on it, but you can see it's still, even with jet wash, even with the scrub, it's still adhered to the paintwork. So we're going to go over it now properly. You're going to join me tomorrow because obviously it's getting a little bit dark now and I can't really film. So we're going to get on with cleaning this, and you will join me back tomorrow with a lot cleaner car, and then we can get to doing the other little bits that we need to do to it. So I'm just going to use this pre-bodywork cleaner for the shampoo. I just use this Auto Glim stuff. It's always done me good in the past. I'll just stick a quick grit guard in there and use a wash mitt. Nothing special, just got to get rid of some of this nasty grime that's on the paintwork still. Right, so obviously this car's had its clean now, you see, but it's got plenty more cleaning to go. You know, going to clean it and keep cleaning it. Moving on to the engine bay, I'm going to show you now why this engine is going to be pulled out. So I'm just going to pull this engine out and put in one of my other engines, my other forced engines that I've got laying around at the minute. You can see it looks a bit of a state in there anyway, so it needs a proper clean up, and you can only do that really by pulling the engine out. So this engine has been built, it's done hardly any miles, but it's a forced engine as well, but it was just built amateurly, so it just wasn't built properly. The piston to wall clearances were too big. I see it all the time, just people they don't really know enough about engine building to take on an engine build. So this has got piston slap, this car. It's got brand new inner lifters in it. Don't think it's a big end bearing or anything like that. I'm going to let you listen to it all started up from stone cold because it's been sitting there overnight, and you're going to hear what piston slap sounds like. If your car sounds like this, take it back to your engine wheel builder, the ones that build your engine, and tell them you want an engine replacement, because it should not sound like this. So the car's on cold start, as you just see, just literally started it up. And if you listen carefully, you can hear the slight rattle that I'm talking about. That's piston slap. You're going to probably hear it a little bit more once the car's gone down to like 1,000 idle. At the minute it's obviously on cold start, so it's a little bit higher rev, so the oil pressure's a little bit higher and the piston's a little bit more balanced. But when it gets down to idle, you're going to hear what I mean by piston slap a little bit better. The car's off cold start now and it's down to idling, and you can probably just about hear the piston slap, but I'll probably be able to rev it and you'll be able to hear it a little bit more while it's still cold. That little rattle, that's the pistons running around in the bores. Now most people, they'd be happy to leave it like that. I'm not, because this engine's going to destroy itself, and I'd rather get to it before it destroys itself. That's just where the specs have been done too loose on the piston to wall clearances for the pistons. The false pistons obviously have to expand in the bore, but a lot of people will do the piston to wall clearances way too big. You can hear it a little bit clearer now, so I'll let you listen. Sounds like it's only a couple of pistons. But once that's warmed up, once the car's warmed up, you're barely going to hear that. But I just can't be leaving with that. So even though that car's got a KO6 on it, it's a Turbo Dynamics KO6 at the minute, and this is my like custom KO6 that I've just built, that I've been testing on my other car with a ported manifold or whatever, bigger exhaust wheel, cutback blades, etc. And I think I might put this one on when it's off. So I'm going to check the Turbo Dynamics one when it comes off. Anyone who's had one of them Turbo Dynamics turbos in the past knows that they're really expensive and they don't last long. So they have a really extremely big compressor wheel on there that's too big for the shaft, and it causes problems with the bearings inside the cartridge. So I'll pull that off, we'll check that out. If it's no good, then we'll bang this one on it. So I need to get clearing out this boot right now. You see, just got a Z20 LEH engine just laying in the back. Add this to my collection of about 20 engines that I've got at the minute, and need to get some built. So hopefully on the channel I'm going to build up a few engines. So one of the things that are letting it down a little bit at the minute is these shark eye headlights are a little bit faded. All these plastics, obviously where it's been sitting around, just need to give these a sand down and a buff up. I might even take them apart because the green stuff sort of got inside, but what I'll just do first is sand it off, and if I don't like it I can just pull it apart and pull the seals apart. So if you look underneath all this crap, you can see there's like loads of grime and grit or whatever. This side's a little bit better, you can see it isn't as bad. So I'm going to give these a clean up, sand them down. If I need to, I'll take them off. So I've just removed the grill out of the back of the bonnet, and you can see the nastiness that's sitting there behind it. That's going to need a good scrub up to get rid of that mould and dirt that's behind there. So what I'm doing at the minute, if you go and join me on my Instagram, I'm doing polls on how to modify this car. So basically, anything that I put onto Instagram, onto my stories, I'm going to put a poll with it. So for instance, I'm going to put a poll, do you want to see the stock grill or do you want to see an ERMI grill? I'm not going to put an OPC grill on this one because they're hard to get hold of, and I've got one on the Red GSI. So as I say, head over to my Instagram and vote on the polls, and whatever wins, that's what's going to happen. So if the stock grill wins, that stock grill stays on the car. If the ERMI grill wins, that stays on the car, for instance. Like, we've got no fog lights in there at the minute, they're grilled up. So do you want fog lights, do you not? You know, we're going to put poles up for that. Right, so these are the springs that come off the car. You can see they're absolutely knackered. Now, what a lot of people don't realise is still loses its tensile strength when it goes rusty. So where the powder coat has come off of these springs, they've gone really soggy. So if I push down on these, you can see they compress just with my hand. Now imagine all the weight of a car That's why they were so soggy. So I've got these new ones to go on there. You can see these like a beehive design. These are from a Corsa B. They're group end springs as well, so they're really, really stiff. Also got these adjusters. You can see these are like platforms, and they're almost like a coilover. You can adjust the height of the spring, and they're perfect for what we're going to do with this car in a minute. You can see here, this is how the spring adjusters fit on the rear beam. You fit in there nice and tight. They actually perfect fit. And they also, you see I've pressed in this washer. You can see it just sits perfectly on the top of this mount, so there's no play at all. And I've also got another washer as well that I normally double up on, but might just put a single washer in this one. And you can see that the white line anti-roll bar bolts to that bottom part there. You see I've took the bolt out already, which is this long bolt here. Very easy to do, so it allows you to run the spring adjusters with a white line anti-roll bar, which is normally a bit difficult. Right, so while these shocks are off, I might as well change over to a better shock as well. So you've got this gas adjustable, you can see here, you've got the adjustable toggle there that you can turn backwards and forwards, make them stiffer or harder. You can see that the bushes are polyurethane as opposed to these rubber ones that always corrode. And you can see they actually paint over them as well with paint, which I don't know why they do it. And you can see also the bodies on these are a lot thicker. So they carry a lot more oil, a lot stiffer, and they're shorter as well. So they're perfect for lowered cars. So I've just dropped it down on some wheels just so I can see the arch gap, and you can see I was just doing like a test fitment and we've got a massive arch gap now there. So I'm going to get underneath there, see it's still up in the air, and then just going to adjust these springs just like you would with a coilover, so I can drop them down loads. You can see there's loads of movement there. Can't wait to switch that beam over for that clean one that I've got in the other car. Just clean this up a little bit under here. Right, so there's obviously plenty more to do with this car. It's an absolute state still. Looks good from a distance. So I just stuck up my Team Dynamics onto the car. You can see the ride height on the rear is absolutely perfect now. The ride height on the front though needs to come down still. So it's a little bit too high on the front still. So I'm going to put my coilovers on it because at the minute it's just got shocks and springs on there, and I ain't got none low enough because they're on the red GSI, and I've just put another set onto the Zafira GSI, so I'm literally out of springs now. So I'm going to put coilovers on the front of this to drop it down as low as possible. With the ProDrive front bumpers, they're obviously not as low as the GSI front bumpers, so they need a splitter on the front, and they obviously need to come down lower. You can see they don't really line up as low as the GSI ones, so to make them look decent, that's what you need to do. So I'm going to drop it down as low as I can on the front, so it makes it look aggressive, and then we're going to get to polishing up these headlights because these headlights are a right state. So I thought I'd get this video up for you because I haven't uploaded in over a month and it's been ridiculous. I've been so busy, so I thought, you know, introduce this new project to you, get this video up. We've got plenty more to do on this car, but you can see it's coming up lovely and clean already. Going to get it polished. So one thing I did notice is these windows have been tinted, so you can see they're actually quite dark, which is actually quite a nice touch. But you can see on the back one, start to bubble a little bit. I don't know if you can reheat these and push it up, or if I've got to peel it off and put some new stuff on. It's well worth saving these cars now. I know you probably think, oh, it's another project. Why has he got another car going on? Because I ain't finished the other ones. But I prefer to build cars than I do to drive them. I always have done. You can't really enjoy these cars on the road very much. You know, the roads are so terrible, as you know. So I like to build the cars, keeps me entertained, and you know, got you some content for you guys as well. Got loads of content coming up. I've just been so busy I haven't been able to get a video up, but I thought I'd edit this video up, get it up for you. You can watch this, see the new project. You know, we can get on with the other builds. I think you agree this is a nice clean one. There was only 500 of these made. There's very little left. I think there's like 270 left on the road. So it's well worth saving these cars now. And a lot of you know that I've had all the fanboy cars, you know, Evos, all the RS Turbos, 3-door Cosworths, Scoobies, the whole lot, and these Astras really do it for me. I know a lot of people in the comment section, why are you messing around with these? These are brilliant, brilliant cars, and until you've had one, you really can't knock one. And when I say had one, you've got to have a good one.